Hello everyone and welcome back to our seated Tai Chi series. We're going to be working on the movements single whip here from the Yang 24 and Repulse Monkey or Repulse the Monkey. Both of which deal with that upwards vector we were talking about before in White Crane, where to raise our arm we are going to be settling the shoulder backwards down the spine. But they deal with a new vector, which is going to be this central round shape. Gongfu and Tai Chi calls the column of power. Tai Chi typically uses this column to express peng, or the idea of bouncing someone off of a round shape. But what we're going to be focusing on it for is because anytime we move outside of this column this way, just like if our shoulder comes up here, we're becoming disconnected from the core of the body. So we don't want to move to a point where we feel our pectoral pull against our shoulder muscles here. We want to keep that nice and circular, as if I was going to roll a basketball across my chest almost. I want to be nice and round, or like I'm hugging a tree. So we're in this kind of tree hugging posture. From here, we're going to articulate our movements. So we're going to turn the right hand over and make a beak, keeping that shoulder settled, keeping that elbow settled. And then our other hand is going to come underneath and gently touch the right wrist with the fingers, and the palm of the left hand is going to be up. Then we're going to draw across the body, find that circular posture in the shoulders. So I shouldn't be going much further than past my leg here. I'm just past both knees on if I'm to drop my arms down. I'm just past both them here. That gives me kind of a nice settling in the shoulders here. Then the last little bit of the movement is I'm going to turn my pinky outwards to line up with the outside bones of the forearm, almost like I'm karate chopping. And then I'm going to settle the heel of the palm downwards for a single whip. So typically this is only practiced on the one side in the form. You would do this, and then you would do cloud hands as a movement, which I'm going to do a whole separate episode on because there's a lot of good stuff there. And then you would repeat your single whip again. So for today, since we're doing it seated and we're going to be doing repetitions, I'm going to do it on both sides. So we're going to do up, out, and then create a beak, touch, out. And it feels silly because I've only done this on the one side. The form has you only do it on the right, so beak, touch, across, settle. Beak, touch, across, and settle. Beak, touch, across, and settle. We're trying to keep that nice roundness in the shoulders. If I turn sideways for you, you'll see that I'm actually not outwards like this very far. I'm not giving a huge wingspan. I'm sort of just keeping everything within this central column. So that's the main thing I want you to take away from this lesson in particular, is that we're trying not to break that circular shape. Yes, you'll see people do this extended and further and what they say or what they call large frame. But the large frame comes from the practice of trying to extend this and get this column to be more flexible. So right now we're working with it from a point of, you probably haven't worked with these muscles before in a way that is going to be intuitive. So before going bigger, make sure that you really get the feeling of this shoulder being connected to the core, not extending past to a point where we feel pull here. And you can test this if you have resistance bands or anything of the like, or even against a wall. If you put your palm on the wall and then you push with your shoulder connected in this way, in a circular, or in this case, in an arch-like fashion, you feel the power that you can get pushing against the wall like that versus separate your shoulder and then try and push that way. Now I'm being a bit hyperbolic here just to illustrate my point, but really go all the way against your shoulder blade and then try and turn your core and see what strain that puts on the shoulder. Just like when our shoulder rises, we want to sink that downwards. Same here, we don't want to extend to a point where we're going to be causing our body any inefficiencies, because this is as much of a disconnect from my core as this is. So just something to note. We'll do a couple more for you just so you can follow along. Now, the way you touch the wrist isn't necessarily important. You can scoop underneath and touch, or you can come straight across and touch. It's up to you. Main thing is we are drawing, we're settling before we get to that moment of extension. On the chopping hand too, we don't want to come way out here. Nice and settled. The chopping hand. So martial with this stuff. Okay, and then we're going to do Repulse Monkey. So Repulse Monkey is going to have us bring up our arms, and we're going to have them kind of in the same positions as we had with our single whip, only palms are up. And we're going to turn the heart away. So we're going to turn our heart to face this kind of off 45 over here. As we do that, our arms are going to be stuck in place. So we're not going to move these at all. We're just going to move the core. I'm going to turn. And then from here, I'm going to settle. And I'm going to have these fingers go right past my eye, like I'm swimming forward, like I'm doing a breaststroke forward. So we're going to start here again. Move, settle, fingers past the eyes. Last bit of the movement, we hold a small ball kind of in the center of our chest area, and then this hand proceeds forward and the other one comes back to the hip. When we come to the hip, we're going to open, and we're going to create this shape again, this almost Y shape structure. We're going to rotate, and we're going to turn our heart. So we're not turning the full body, we're not bringing our legs over or anything, the hips remain planted, but we're going to just turn our heart, and we're going to allow that twist in the waist. And that waist twist is what's going to release and propel this forward. Up, palms up, turn, release, fingers past the eyes, and settle. Repulse Monkey. In the movement, we would also be stepping backwards with this. This is one of the few movements that actually goes backwards. Open, turn, settle, push. So the reason we open the hands here and then turn with the waist is when we're moving backwards in the form, a common problem that I see is people whipping their arm way back and becoming disconnected from the shoulder. So what we want to focus on is, again, that calm of power and then turning from the waist. So it does look like I'm doing this and I'm just throwing my shoulder back, but in fact I'm creating this and then the arms just move in space in relation to the waist. Then I collapse this elbow, I settle the shoulder, my fingertips are almost limp if not for my intent, and then I swim them through aerodynamically, almost like I am swimming through that water. I just made a sound effect like I'm actually swimming through water. Sound effects are optional. And this is Repulse Monkey. Keeping our shoulders still in line. Turn with the heart. Collapse. And push. Repulse Monkey.